After 10 years of waiting, Final Fantasy 15 has finally made its video game debut, and it's about time. Originally branded as Final Fantasy Versus 13, it started as part of the Final Fantasy 13 universe, along with Final Fantasy Type 0. Since then, it has gone through radical changes when it comes to the gameplay, and has had a major shift in its story focus. With all of the changes that have been made, one can only wonder if 15 can erase some of the stigma that the Final Fantasy series has garnered over the years.
Then I'm sick of your endless whining. Calm the hell down.
Get off my back.
Are you a man of royal blood, or aren't you?
Of course I am. I couldn't forget it if I tried. What about it?
I ain't saying that you've forgotten, but you gotta know something. You're not the only one who's having a tough time. We're all on edge.
In the game, you will play as Prince Noctis of the Kingdom of Lucius, who is on his way to be married as part of a peace treaty with the Empire of Niflheim. This will end a long war that has led to Niflheim ruling a significant percentage of the world. On his way, he learns of a tragedy that will send him and his 3 companions on a quest that will forever change their lives. Traveling with Noctis on his long journey is his best friend Prompto, his bodyguard Gladiolus, and his driver and chef Ignis. One of the biggest draws to the game is its feeling of camaraderie and bromance between the main cast as they deal with the trials that they are forced to come across. The beginning feels like a group of friends who are simply off on one last adventure before Noctis gets married, but as the game continues, their bonds deepen and you get to see how fully fleshed out the characters are. The interaction between the friends also helps prevent the game from getting too dark in the last chapters, even when their world begins to crumble around them.
What's this? Some sort of souvenir?
They make those?
What? No.
Consider it your allowance. Huh?
Yeah. And who's allowing us?
A man of no consequence.
Yeah, right.
Combat in the game is deceptively simple. You have one button to attack, one button to dodge, and one button to warp to an enemy or safe environment. Noctis can switch between various weapons on the fly, and each weapon will have its own weight and speed. Enemies will be resistant to certain types of damage, so paying attention to what each type of enemy is weak against is key in the longer fights in the game. Magic does appear in the game, but unlike it has in any Final Fantasy game before, magic is absorbed from areas around the game's overworld, and in battle is used like an elemental grenade that will devastate an area, taking out both friend and foe alike. Due to its double-sided nature, it is best used sparingly and probably won't be utilized all that often by most players. Like many games before it, Final Fantasy 15 contains mystical summons, but they appear in a very different way. In the 15 universe, summons are called astrals and are an integral part of the game's story. They are beings that have existed since the world was created, and most will only bequeath their strength to someone if they have passed the trials that the astrals set before them. After you have obtained one, you will have to have met very specific requirements in order to summon them in battle. This means that they will only show themselves on rare occasions. This is a good thing because due to their spectacular appearances, having them show up too terribly often would lessen the awesome nature that they are supposed to exude. There has been a bit of controversy over the idea that there are no main female characters in the game's main story. Looking back after having finished the game, this actually makes sense when you look at the game's overall theme. The game deals about how a group of guys deal with the struggles and the trials that they have to go through around them, and in that it succeeds wonderfully. This also isn't to say there isn't a strong female presence in the game, as Noctis' betrothed Lunafreya and the mysterious Genetiana both heavily influence the plot, and the game wouldn't be the same without them. The game isn't perfect by any means. When it comes to a story, a lot is thrown at you, all at once in the final chapters of the game. While it's easier to follow than Final Fantasy XIII's massive mess of a plot, you may find yourself wishing that it wasn't thrown at you all at once. Major plot points are also told only in the game's feature-length movie Kingsglaive and anime series Brotherhood, which is likely to cause some confusion to those who haven't seen either. Overall, Final Fantasy XV does a lot of things right, and while most won't consider it their favorite Final Fantasy game, its earnest attempt to invigorate the series while paying homage to the past mistakes is a good entry, and one that any Final Fantasy fan should give a chance.